Hey, Noah Cristian from the Conservative Herald. I'm a little stuffy today, so forgive me. But today I'm going to be talking about what happened at the University of Berkeley in California. Over at the Conservative Herald, we all really like Milo Yiannopoulos. We like the fact that he's politically incorrect, that he's pretty much balls out when it comes to what he has to say, and he's not afraid of people judging him, like us. We respect your opinion. You don't have to like Milo. He's not perfect, you know? It's fine. You don't have to like him. But you know what? He doesn't threaten people. He doesn't threaten people's safety. He doesn't endanger anyone. He simply puts his points and opinions out there for everybody to hear. And offended or not, he has every right to do that because this is America. We have free speech. He's not harming anybody, so grow up, okay? He's not a hate monger. All of you saying how he's a leader of the alt-right. First of all, he's constantly stated that he's not the leader of the alt-right. He says how they have some of the same ideals, but he's not their leader by any stretch of the imagination. Also, the alternative right. What the media says about how they're this racist, Nazi, misogynistic, homophobic group, that's absolutely not true. Okay, maybe there's a little bit of them on 4chan, you know, those idiots on 4chan who just hide behind the computer and don't do anything about it. That's the alternative right. Those are the racists online. But that's just called being an asshole. That's just called being an idiot. That's not the alternative right. It's just called being an idiot. The alternative right is mainly basically moderate conservatism in a way. It's a different form of moderate conservatism, which most of you probably know if you're watching this video. If you don't, I'm sorry for you. The alternative right, they say, oh, how it's racist. It's racist. It's not racist. That's just what the media says. That's what CNN says. That's what every news source says. If you do a little bit of research, Milo is not a hate monger. He's never preached hate. If anything, he's against radical Islam, which throws acid in the face of their women and throws gays off buildings. We care at the Conservative Herald. We care about gay people and we care about women, so that greatly displeases us. And if he speaks out against this, how can he be preaching hate? He doesn't tell his supporters to hurt people. He himself doesn't hurt people. He doesn't threaten people. He himself is a very benign person. He's never caused any violence. The only violence he indirectly caused, it's not even his fault, were those idiot fascists. They're the definition of fascism that violently protested his speech at the University of Berkeley in California. Fascism, textbook fascism, is any sort of extreme political policy where the state is number one. It's almost like totalitarianism. It's pretty much totalitarianism, where the state is number one. You do what the government says. It's basically a dictatorship, and there's no free speech. You have to say whatever the government tells you to say. That's what fascism is. There's no freedom of speech. So Milo is fighting against fascism. This fascist leftist ideology. Not all leftists and Democrats are fascists. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the people that violently protested and stopped him from utilizing his freedom of speech. That's what fascism is. It's stopping people from expressing themselves under the First Amendment. That's what fascism is. If you disagree with me, you're an idiot, because that's not exactly what it is, but that's a huge part of it. Restricting freedom of speech so that only one political ideology and philosophy can reign supreme. All right? So now that we have that out there, it's just stupid, because those people, they went there to have a good time. These people, these supporters who went there, they went there to have a good time. They went there they didn't go there to hurt people. They went there to listen to, somebody they really respect and like. What happened? His supporters got beaten. The speech had to get canceled, all because of those idiots who don't even know a thing about politics. You ask them what a caucus is, they don't even know what that means. I'm telling you right now, they're borderline retarded. It's stupid. Also, what they don't realize is that Milo thrives off of people getting triggered by him. I don't like to use that word, but that's basically in essence what it is. I guarantee you that if people weren't going to buy his book before, excuse me, I was drinking soda. If people weren't going to buy his book before, they definitely are now. You know why? Because any publicity is good publicity, and that's a fact, unless it's Bill Cosby who, molested those women. That's different. That was horrible. But, okay, a good 99% of publicity is good publicity. This is only going to help him. This is only going to let more people know who he is. My mother didn't even know who Milo was before that happened. And my mom's a leftist. She's a Democrat. She's almost a liberal. But she respects Milo's views. Alright? And you should too. I understand that you may disagree with him, but do some research. Alright? He's not a racist because I'm pretty sure his past few boyfriends are black. He's not homophobic. He's gay. I don't say you can be homophobic if you're gay. That doesn't make any sense. Well, I guess you can, but that would make him the most self-loathing gay person on the planet. He's not a white supremacist. Then again, because he does like black guys. He preaches against radical Islam, which destroys the rights of women, and he constantly speaks about how he's against that. How does that make him anti-woman? He's pro-life. That does not make it... I'm not pro-life. Me and Ryan aren't pro-life, but that doesn't make you anti-woman. A good 50% of women, almost in the United States, are pro-life. Does that make them anti-women? No. That's just their opinion, and that's fine, and you need to respect that. You know? Do you see where I'm going with this? And oh gosh, I'm sorry, excuse me. This all comes down to one central thing, one central idea of freedom of speech that's being threatened in the United States. Oh my God, Jesus, I need to stop drinking soda. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. But this all comes down to the idea of freedom of speech. If you're not threatening anybody, if what you say does not physically harm or will not physically harm others, through threats of violence or getting other people to hurt them, then that's fine. As outlandish as your ideas may be, as much as we hate the KKK, we hate them. Nobody likes them. I despise them because I do care about black people. I care about everybody. Everybody deserves a right to be happy. But the fact of the matter is, if they're not going to threaten people, if they're not going to, in public, if they're not going to hurt anybody, then they have to be given a right to march. As racist and bigoted as they are. Because if they're not going to hurt anybody during their march, if they're not going to threaten anybody during their march, that's what freedom of speech is. And I'm sorry to tell you. That's what it is. I do not support the KKK. I think they're a disgusting group of people. And I think, they're awful. And I think that group should have been wiped out a long time ago. But that's what freedom of speech is. I'm sorry. And freedom of speech is allowing peaceful people to speak out with their ideas as well. And I know, some of you guys might take that out of context or whatever. Oh, yeah, the conservative held supports the KKK. No, we don't. I was just making an analogy there. In Holocaust class in high school, we discussed that. And even there were some black kids in our class, and even they themselves said that, racist groups do deserve the right to march if they're not going to hurt anybody or preach physically hurtful ideas that could physically harm other people. That's what America is. Freedom of speech as long as it doesn't potentially harm or can cause bodily harm to other people. Being offended is a stupid concept. I'm not offended when somebody calls me a gypsy because my father's Romanian. Or when somebody calls me names because of my heritage. I don't get offended. I either, one, I tell them to screw off, or number two, I ignore them. I don't get offended. Being offended is a stupid excuse to be idle and not do anything about it. That's what being offended is. Being offended, you can be upset by something, but being offended is just conceding everything to the person who tried to physically, emotionally hurt you with their words. Somebody calls me a gypsy, or somebody makes fun of my Romanian heritage. I'm not going to get offended. I'm most likely going to ignore them because it is what it is. I'm not going to get offended by it. So that's basically, really pissed me off, really upset me, that these fascist idiots just completely, they beat up people. They almost at one point, the fire that they set fires. One was almost got so big that it almost spread to the campus. They endangered people's lives. They could have killed people. it's just sad. It's a very sad day in America to see these stupid liberals just ruin it for everybody else. It's sad, and I'm disappointed, and I'm upset, but you know what? Feel free to protest. Protesting is great. That's why you live in America, you idiots. If you lived in Saudi Arabia, if you lived in Afghanistan, in war-torn Iraq, you couldn't be able to protest. If I myself am a Catholic. I'm not a devout Catholic, but I am a Catholic. If I went over there and I told people I was a Catholic, you think they'd like me? You think they'd accept me? Think about that. You live in America, the greatest country on earth, or I wouldn't say the greatest. We got a little bit of problems right now, but one of the greatest countries on earth. The West is the best. Quoting Gavin McInnes here. So, that's the main point, is let people be happy, let people have their opinions, as long as they're not going to threaten or hurt anybody else. Because that's why we live in America. First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of press. That's our right as Americans. And I doubt you want to live anywhere where that's not available to you. Anyway, love your fellow American. Don't go out and do anything stupid. Peacefully protest. Let people have their opinions. Don't outright challenge them. That's just going to make matters worse. Anyway, this is Noah Cristian from the Conservative Herald. I'll catch you guys later. Thank you very much.